Hi guys, it's Leanne again. Doing another tutorial. This time I'm doing it on another image for, I believe it was Clara. She had a bunny image that she was wanting to make into an SVG file. So I am going to attempt to do that right now. And see how it's going to work out. Okay, so how I would do the image, you see it's got some different colors in here in the ears, so I'm going to do it two different ways. To start out, I'm going to go ahead and go to Path, trace the bitmap, uncheck smooth, remove background, and live preview. Now you see from the image that it has our outlines, but I think I'm going to invert that and see what it gives me. No. I'm playing with the threshold right now. Just want to kind of get a comparison to see what it's going to do. So I'm going to try that. And sometimes it is about playing with your different options, because you never know, sometimes something might work better than it does another time. So here is my trace, and it looks good, but we don't have the colors, so I did that trace, and then I'm going to do another one. This time I'm going to do colors, and you see on the image it has now gave me my shading, and I'm going to cut that down to fit on here. So I'm going to click OK. There's my trace. I'll move that up. Let me X that off. We're going to zoom out. Okay, so this is my original. This is the first trace I did, and this is the second trace. The second trace we need to ungroup, so go to Object, Ungroup, and take those apart. And it's going to give me 8 different layers because it went automatically to 8 scans, and I don't really need all of those, so we're going to just take them apart. Okay, so from this first image we see that we have the darker shading here in the coffee mug. Here. And that, and a little spot here. That's pretty much it for that darker layer. So we don't need all that. Let's go down here. This is the darker layer. So select your crossbow. We're going to just start taking stuff out because we don't need all this. Let's get rid of it. We don't need these. Don't need that. So we're just going to manipulate our layers for our purposes. zoom out. And you can see that we have now an inverted image. This is not what we're needing. We're actually needing the whole. This part needs to be whole and this part needs to be whole. So when that happens, what I do is I just fill it in with the paint bucket. But you see we have a hole here, and that's not going to work for us for our layers. So what I'm going to do, let me get rid of these little spots here. I am going to move that node up so we have our red outline, and then we're going to go to Path and Union. That way we get our solid piece. And it's always good to zoom in as much as you can, because you see we have pieces here that you don't really notice when you're zoomed out, and you don't need them, so we're going to zoom in to see them. Again, I did the overlap, go to Path and Union, and then right here we have humps. We don't really need these. We want to have a good clean image, so we're going to delete these out. And that looks good. Okay, so now let's fill in with our paint bucket. And it's more of a darker brown color. So select the color that you think looks good. I don't try and get precise on my colors in Inkscape, because when I transfer it over to Cricut, I just cut it out the colors I want it to be anyway. So it's not a major issue. So we're going to zoom out here, remove this, select our new colors, and we're going to go to Path and Union. We can delete that. And I'm placing it here in my other image just to compare. Okay. So I believe this is the other one that we're going to use. It has all the shadows we need. This one's going to be a little more in depth for the shadowing. So what I'm going to do, and I know it might sound weird, but it actually works for me, is I'm going to change this to a color that we can see. So we're going with the green now, and I'm going to change its opacity, which you can adjust that number down here. Right now it's at 0, which is actually 100, but we're going to change that to 50. Push enter, and now you see you can actually see through it. And what I do is I overlap with my image with the exact layer that I'm working with. That way when I delete nodes, I'm making sure it's lined up perfectly. And as you can see, it lined up really well. So this is going to be a little more time consuming, and I may not get you the whole video. If that's the case and you feel like you need more instruction, please feel free to message me, and I will go with you. I will work with you one-on-one to like walk you through it even more. But this is just a technique that I use. And so anyway, we're gonna, let's zoom out. And we're going to use our crossbow, and you see that it puts our little nodes in. We're not really concerned about this part down here, so we're going to go ahead and delete those out. Our main concern is right here in the bunny, because when it's all said and done, this black parts here are all going to be gone. We're just going to have the bunny and the words. Okay, so to start with, let's start right here. And I'm going to drag this up and overlap it. So path and union. Delete that out, so we don't need this part here. And you see how you can tell the difference in the color of the green and the black. So we know we don't need that part. We do need this part because it's actually where our cream is. Okay, here's another area where we have the shadow. So overlap your spots, union, and now we can delete that out. Quickly, a little tip, if you want to just move a whole lot of things at once, if you click on a node and click shift at the same time, it highlights each node that you have the shift hitting at the same time. So shift, shift, click, and it moves them away. Here, what I'm going to do is we need the shading here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross over here. Path and union. Delete those out. And I just manipulate the nodes as I need to. We actually need extra nodes in this area, and the way to do that is I'm going to select this node. So I'm going to select shift, and shift on this one. And then if you go up to the top, it says insert new nodes. We're going to do that. The first time you click it, it does one. And then the more you click, it does one in between each of those. So it's going to keep putting nodes in. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just moving these nodes around to fit the shape of the foot. And you see how this one has come down and arched? All you have to do is shrink it to where you need it. And there may be an easier way to do this, I don't know. This is just the method that works for me. And it can be time consuming, but at the end of the day, if it works for you, it's easy and it gets the job done. Doesn't matter if anyone else likes it or not, I guess. As long as it helps you do what you need to do. And if you find a different technique that works better for you, by all means use it, you know. Ultimately, it's your project and how you want it to look, so. Well. Zoom in. Doing this will also make it easier to delete these parts that you don't need. Because you're getting them away from your image. Just keep clicking. Oh, we missed one. And I guess you guys can see why I've been kind of putting this one off, because it does take a little bit. Okay, we have a connection here we don't need. Well, we have a connection here we need to make. So I'm gonna come up, bring this one up, path, union, and delete. And as you can see, I'm just kind of randomly zooming in and out. That's because I want to make sure my image is still as it should be. Still looks good. Kind of also gets me an idea of where I'm at in the process and how much longer it takes for me to do this. I'm deleting all of this out because we do not need this part. Or this. We do need this shadowing though. So I'm going to bring this down. Path Union. Delete. And I know some of these little things don't make sense where I'm deleting nodes from. The more practice you get, the better you're going to get at it. And in months from now, once you're really good at this, you'll be like, can't believe I thought it was so hard. And it can be difficult. It's definitely time consuming. But I like the challenge. I mean, that's part of why I do it. Sometimes I add in extra nodes just in case, because I never know. if it will work best for me. For example, right here. Okay, so let me zoom out. Add some more nodes because I need to cut these in half, so don't forget to select off of them. Path union. On this one, I'm not gonna go overlap the chocolate or the darker shading. I'm just gonna go up to, which is another reason why I like to go to 50% opaque. That way I can see where those stop. Oh. And I deleted out my flames, so I am going to improvise and use these guys to fix that. All I'm doing is highlighting and just clicking and dragging. Get the basic shape in here. And you see as I'm moving one side, it's distorting this other. That's where these tools are going to come in, and I use this one. It says make selected nodes corner. And what that does is just allows me to now adjust each one individually. think I need extra nodes in this one. We'll add one more. Okay. Alright, so there is our shading now. A lot of work for just that. But it's not bad. It looks really cute so far. Okay, so now when we removed our background, it made the bunny white. All of this is white. And so what I'm gonna do is path, trace bitmap. We're gonna have to do it on that one. Oh, I guess I could move it where you can see it. Okay, so I'm gonna invert the image. Click OK. X off of that. So now we have the black guy. Fill in. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually do it a funky color. And I just do it like this so I can get the idea. And then our eyes and outlines are black. So this is our trace. We're going to do the same thing here. So all we need is these parts, this here, Okay, so we don't need these. Forgot the dark handles, so make that right quick. Zoom in. And then take out the green, take out the pink. We're going to union those. Make the bunny gray. That's just so we can see that he's there. And there you go. Sure he's all in the box. Group them together. And one little happy camper. The only other thing I would do differently probably is add in the toes where I'd taken them out. But you get the gist of how to do this. And so anyway, if you have any questions, post them in the comments. Thanks, guys.